A year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago, whatever it was, I decided to stop giving classes because I couldn't figure out what anybody needs to hear. There are just so many devotees from different cultures, from different ages, from different stages of devotional service. It would actually disturb my mind. I couldn't understand whether I was saying anything useful for anyone, and there are too many varieties of devotees. And then my tendency would to try to figure out who is the newest person, and usually it would be somebody from way on the outside. And then I would give the class just for the newest person. So somehow this troubled my mind, and so I decided to base all future classes on questions. And that way I could understand more clearly what's the necessity of every individual, and I wouldn't always then necessarily be giving the class for the most beginning person. Let me read these questions. First one is by Dave, or the first one I'm reading. He says, in reference to the idea of finding a spiritual master. Oh yes, by the way, I said, let the questions today be specifically about Guru Tattva and or Lord Nityananda, because this being his appearance day, let the questions go in that direction. In reference to the idea of finding a spiritual master as a descending process, is the outcome of your research, of your search for Guru affected at all by your personal endeavor? Did you follow the question? Mm-hmm. Krishna will send the Guru. That's descending. Guru comes to us. How you'll find him? You don't even know what he looks like. You don't know what he should behave like. If people actually knew that, they wouldn't follow so many of the Hindu gurus in society today who actually cheat them and simply take their money and sometimes even abuse them in different ways. They wouldn't do this. So, yes, it is not possible to find a guru. You cannot find one. Krishna sends Guru, and then that corresponds to your desire. You get what you deserve. Nothing less, nothing more. If we have an earnest desire to know the truth, then no living entity is left wandering in the world without proper guidance. Of course, we may be looking at the world in one time over, but Krishna doesn't see just this one little world in this one little span of so many small, small lifetimes. He sees the much greater picture. And in that way, living entities are grouped together on different planets, on different continents, within cities, within villages, and even within families. They are grouped together for what? For the fulfillment of their life. And if their desires are all material, then they are born in various places where they can fulfill their material desires together. Of course, with that we know comes a karma. They are grouped together to experience their karma, their reactions from their material lives in the past. And those living entities who want to know the truth of life, who want to know about Krishna particularly, they will be grouped together in various places so that they can be found out by Krishna's representatives. Not that they would just be scattered across the deserts, one here, one there, one there. Then how Krishna's devotee will go there? Everywhere. So they are grouped. If you look at the world, they are grouped. And there are places which are cursed. We say cursed means really bad karma. Really bad karma. It's very sad to see the things that happen in the world today, but actually bad things do not happen to good people. It's hard to imagine children are innocent. Yes, they're innocent. A 7-year-old child is innocent. But who was he or she 10 years ago? And what was the previous life? What were they 10 years ago? Maybe they themselves were causing women and children and innocent living entities to suffer, even to die. So, a devotee is compassionate towards everyone, doesn't try to figure it out, who it is that's sort of, in one sense, meant to suffer. But if you keep up with world events and you keep up with political maps and stuff, you'll see that some places, they seem just destined to suffer. And Krishna consciousness has a very difficult time to go there. Very difficult time to go there. So this is some sort of blocking. Some sort of obstacle is there. But a devotee doesn't say, oh, yeah, that place is obviously being blocked. Let's go somewhere else. No, Krishna himself is not blocking. Krishna is sending the devotees to go over the blocks, to go over the hurdles, to go behind the iron curtain at one time, to go over the wall, to sneak through, to bring Krishna consciousness where material nature has blocked people according to their karma. So Krishna does not follow the law of karma. He transcends the law of karma. Krishna's devotees transcend the law of karma. And they can free anyone, particularly Sri Nityananda Prabhu. He can free anyone from the blocks or the bondage of this material world. And even if a person has no desire, because the ability to find Guru is based on desire, they will give the desire by their association, by the Lord's association, by the association of the Lord's devotees, the desire to want the highest fulfillment of life, the desire to know who God is. There's a desire to know who I am, who you are, who we are, what we are, the desire to know these things and to be fulfilled in relation to these things. This will also come from Krishna's devotees. This is rather high thinking to think that we are so deserving, and then Krishna sends the Guru to fulfill our desire. That's very high thinking about one's own self. Once when speaking to Srila Maharaj, it was asked by some devotees, well, the Guru has his parshads. Parshad means his eternal associates. So is it possible that Swami Maharaj, some of his disciples, are his eternal associates? So he responded, yeah, it's possible. But we should think of ourselves as being recruited. We should not think of ourselves in the high way. Oh, I am part of the eternal entourage of my Gurudev who's come here to save the fallen soul. May be possible. Some may be. But for the most part, he said, probably most are recruited. They are recruited from this world. But some may be. Some may be. All should certainly aspire to be. How do we sign a letter to our Gurudev? Your eternal servant, or your servant. It means aspiration is there. We're not saying, oh, by the way, I'm one of them who came here with you. I just want you to know I'm in the eternal entourage. I'm Parshad Bhaktidas here. Just like before the era of calling a new devotee a Bhakta or a new devotee a Bhaktin, you know what they were called? They were called Prabhus, masters. So the Bhakta Ken called himself Ken Prabhu, Ken the master. So this had a rough beginning, you see. And once in a courtroom, the judge asked me my name, and I said, I didn't want to tell him my last name because I had some outstanding parking tickets. He said, what is your name? And I said, Jack Prabhu. He said, no, what is your real name? And I said, Jack Prabhu, Your Honor. So he accepted. But Prabhu means master. And when Prabhupada asked me what is my name when I was being initiated, I said, Jack Prabhu. So like I say, it's had a rough beginning. It's not, what is your name? You do not give your name. So we do not announce ourselves in the Vaishnava world as master. We announce ourselves, if we announce ourselves at all, as servant. So Krishna fulfills the desires and the wandering of all living entities. There is desire, and that will lead us to wherever we are. What is that Bengali verse? Bhagavana Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasadi Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. By the grace of Krishna, one gets Guru. By the grace of Guru, then one gets Krishna. Fulfilling the wanderings of all living entities. So Krishna is so merciful, devotees are so merciful, they do not simply wait for the living entity to desire. For example, we used to go and sell books, and devotees still do that, but we used to go door to door, we used to go here and there and everywhere. And I can remember one time meeting an Indian gentleman at his door and requesting him to buy a Bhagavad Gita. And he said, yes, I will certainly buy the one on the when Krishna wants. I said, that's why I'm knocking on your door. But we didn't see eye to eye what means Krishna wants. So Krishna, what he wants is carried out by his devotees. He didn't want a Bhagavad Gita. Because there it was right there. He's just playing the Hindu word jugglery. Yes, I will buy Gita when Krishna wants. You see? But I'm saying, well, that's what he wants. He's wanted it all along. You're lagging. So go get your wallet. No, he had his own way of thinking. You see? And I was saying that's what he wants. That's what Krishna wants. That's what Krishna's devotees want. That's why Krishna spoke the Bhagavad Gita in the first place. Desire is there, but the devotee may create the desire even if it's not there. What aspect of Guru Tattva does Nityananda Prabhu represent? That's from Gaurava. Nityananda represents the mercy aspect of Guru Tattva. Now, someone has a question here I read in relation to something about a guru, seeing the guru as a pure devotee. Something. Is that this one?
It's this one.
Something about mercy.
Maybe the second question.
Yeah. These are two connected. We have to consider the guru a pure devotee, but there are also Kanishta gurus. So how is it possible to consider a Kanishta guru as a pure devotee? Well, I don't know whoever said that we should consider. It's like, consider a dog a cow. It ain't going to produce any milk, will it? So what does that mean, consideration? So though Srila Sridhar Maharaj, he explained these different types of gurus. He explained someone is standing, both feet in the material world, pointing the direction. Then one person has got 1 foot in the material world, 1 foot in the spiritual world, and he's extending a helping hand. And the other's got 2 feet in the spiritual world, extending the helping hand. And so sometimes this is compared to the Kanishta, the Madhyama, and the Paramahansa. But actually, without being pure devotee of Krishna, no one can be guru. It's the end of the story. And what is your conception of a pure devotee of Krishna? That's another conversation. A Kanishta should never become guru. If our guru is a Kanishta, that's where the problem begins. Because a Kanishta cannot make proper discrimination. So how can he even point the way? He doesn't have proper discrimination. He doesn't know what the way is. So that's a very generous and a general description, but in reality, we should avoid that. We should look real hard. We should try real hard. And Rupa Goswami says, anyway, when you become a devotee, you should give up being a Kanishta within 2 or 3 days and become a pure devotee. He does not say you should spend your whole life as a Kanishta. Kanishta means no proper understanding. You don't know what a Vaishnava is. A Vaishnava is. You don't know actually what the deity is. You don't know what the holy name is. That's a Kanishta. You see? And a Madhyam understands what these things are. And a Paramahansa is fully absorbed in these things, and therefore he can't be your guru anyway. So he comes down to the Madhyama level, and therefore it is said, all gurus are Madhyamadhikaris. They either are, or they're pretending to be, but at the end of the day, that's what they are. And they must be pure devotees. What are the other types of devotees? Karma Mishra Bhaktas. So the guru should not be working for his own satisfaction. He should be not working for his own sense gratification. He should not take money and such things from his disciples for his own fancy style of living. He must use everything, all Krishna's energy, for Krishna. Of course, some people think he should be able to roll up his sleeve, take out his Swiss Army knife and whack off a big chunk of flesh without shedding a tear and throw it into the fire to show that he is above this body. But that is not qualification. There are many people who have done that, actually, and they were not pure devotees of Krishna. Pure devotee of Krishna is first one who follows a pure devotee of Krishna, one who has dedicated his life to serving a pure devotee of Krishna. Without those two qualifications, or that one qualification, no one ever was, and no one ever becomes a pure devotee. First become pure devotee of Krishna, then advance in love of God. These are two different things. They're not synonymous at all. You cannot advance in love of God unless you become pure devotee of Krishna. Therefore, give up your nonsense. Give up speculation. Give up culture and gyan. Give up fruitive activities. You give things up, that's a pure devotee. And there are different stages of pure devotion which manifest. And if you avoid the offenses, you'll make progress. And eventually you reach a stage, where you cannot be touched by material nature. That is called nishta. Nishta, fixed up. Sometimes that is called dhira, very, very steady. When we are still working through the stage of anartha, that's a little dangerous area there. Little dangerous area, anartha. So many misgivings in the heart. So we don't say, oh yes, I accepted pure devotee, I am pure devotee, let me sit back and relax. Everything is easy from here. No. It's a very steep road and a very long road. The life of a madhyam is very long and very steep. But don't think that all waits to the last minute. Now you're a pure devotee, now you have love of God, now you go back to Godhead. And by the way, you couldn't do that anyway. Then why did Mahaprabhu come here? Why did Nityananda Prabhu preach in Bengal? Why do acharyas go all over the world? If what you're being requested to do is impossible, and you couldn't even do it in a lifetime, then why even try? Another thing that's interesting is people seem to want to establish that all the pure devotees come from the spiritual world, right? You can't seem to find any that are made in the world. Well, then what's the use of the process? So everybody says, my guru descended from the spiritual world. My guru comes from the kunja of such and such. My guru this, my guru that. Has anybody ever succeeded in this process? If so, I would like to know, because that would give me some hope. When we met Srila Maharaj, he would say, yes, I also had that doubt. I was like, you had a doubt? I have a doubt? He had a doubt. He had a doubt. That was good news. Whether he had the doubt or not wasn't important, but he said he had the doubt. Now, Prabhupada, our guru, he was a little different flavor. Yes, I have seen Krishna face to face. I have never forgotten Krishna. And it's like, wow, that's somebody really special who has never forgotten Krishna. And therefore he said he has come here to spread Krishna consciousness. Someone say about God, I have seen God face to face. Why do you say he's dead? People say God is dead. He says he's not dead. I have seen him face to face. They say God has no face. So how you can say you have not seen? So you be quiet. I have seen. He has face, and I've seen him face to face. So that became the established vision of Srila Prabhupada. He came to this world to spread Krishna consciousness from a transcendental plane. It is not necessary to try to figure out who came here and who was recruited here. Certainly not everyone that we've ever heard of came from the spiritual world and just preached, and nobody achieved any perfection. Once Prabhupada told, how many? Four of the six Goswamis descended, 2 were recruited. Is it 2 or 4?
Two were descended, 4 were recruited.
Yeah. 2 descended, 4 were recruited. Now you try to figure that out. You've got 2 that descended, Rup Sanatan. Well then, you've got Raghunath Das, Jiva Goswami. Most people say, well, Gopal Bhatta, Raghunath Bhatt. But then you've got Jiva, or maybe it's Rupa Raghunath. Then you've got Sanatans recruited. It's like, this is not such an easy thing just to put in a box. codify and classify. But the fact is, this process works. And for it to work, you have to give up mixed devotion. You cannot mix your devotion. There's another misleading process, dovetailing. You have a desire, offer it to Krishna. You can drag this on for 1,000 lifetimes. Basically, this doesn't work. You have to stop fulfilling your desires and offering them to Krishna. You have to find out what is Krishna's desire. But one day I went before Prabhupada. I was going to take sannyas in a few weeks. This is back in 1976. There was a brahmachari with me. We were great friends. In fact, we've been traveling around Africa together, preaching and selling books and things like that, and around India for a bit. and we came to see Prabhupada in a darshan. He was having his massage on the roof in Mayapur. So we were sitting there, and there had been some talk whether this brahmachari, whose name was Jagat Guru Das, that was me, from Africa, the way he'll take sannyas, he won't take sannyas. In fact, it was a whole hubbub that year. What's going to happen with this guy? Because no one seems to be able to control him. And that's the whole story, fun story. And that was the issue. But anyway, the talk was going on. So I wasn't talking like this to Prabhupada at all. We were talking about other things. And then suddenly the brahmachari next to me, he just says, Prabhupada, I want to take sannyas. So I just went, ooh, that's a very serious, sudden thing to present, right? And then Prabhupada is sitting there and he's getting his massage, somebody's massaging his arm, and he says, and why do you want to take sannyas? So at least my friend was honest. He said, it is my desire, Srila Prabhupada. And I was sitting there, I went, ooh, not good, not good, wrong answer. You could have said 100 things, but to say it was your desire, I just knew, ooh, not good, wrong answer. And Prabhupada confirmed, wrong answer. No, he said, not your desire. First find out what is Krishna's desire. Then you may take sannyas. There'll be no benefit fulfilling your desire becoming sannyasi. This will become troublesome for you. He didn't explain all these details, but it's obvious. This will become troublesome for you. This will become troublesome for the world. Right? Find out what is Krishna's desire. So that's what it means to become pure devotee of Krishna. To work to fulfill Krishna's desire, and you cannot do that unless you are working under guidance of a pure devotee of Krishna who is firmly established in such pure devotion. Then you are a disciple, then you are a pure devotee. Now, you'll never think of yourself in that way, and we don't go around patting each other on the back telling how we're all pure devotees. But I'll tell you, I was here in the early days of Govindaji Gardens, and there was a man who worked for us, and he was from a Sri Vaishnav family, and he suggested a few things, and I wasn't so inclined. He wanted to do one homa to relieve the land of any karma and all this stuff. I said, well, I'll plant tulsi, that will relieve the land, and I'll graze cows, and that will be good. And he wanted me to do some homa, chant all these mantras, Then one day he had a friend with him, and we're standing here in the tulsi garden. The friend reaches out and grabs tulsi, goes, just pulls up a bunch of tulsi leaves and starts chewing them. So, it's very common in India because tulsi is an Ayurvedic plant, tulsi is in soap, tulsi is in toothpaste, tulsi is in tea, tulsi is all over the place. So he did that. I said, no, sir, please, don't do that here. This is an ashram. All the tulsi is only offered to Krishna. Then the man said, oh, sorry, sir, I didn't know you are pure devotees. Never met us before, but he understood that there's a certain class of devotees that does things in a special way only for Krishna. Somehow he just caught it, I don't know, whatever. But he said like that, oh, sir, I didn't know. You're pure devotees. He understands that there is mixed devotion, and he's practicing mixed devotion. He's going to Ranganath, and he's praying for a green card for his son, so his son can live in America and be a doctor. He's praying for an import license. He's praying for a small dowry for his daughter and a big dowry for his son. He's praying for all these things. Mixed devotion. When you see people go in the temples in India, 100% of them are mixed devotees. And if any pure devotee is there, he will not be offended that I said so. He will say, yes, it's very good. You should say that again and again. All this karma mishra bhakti, all this jnani, this is spoiling real devotion. Everybody going to ask something from God. And the idea is supposed to come and give something. So, they sell the coconuts outside. You're supposed to take something in the temple when you go and offer to God. But they offer is, God, here's a coconut, here's a overripe banana, and here's a piece of mala. Now what about the, green card for my son? It's not like, my dear Lord, please, I offer this to you for your pleasure. It's like, I'm giving the coconut. Now, how about the gold coins? How about the college education? Karma Mishra Bhakti, they want something in return. Don't go to Krishna for something in return. Don't even go to Krishna to relieve the stress of your mind. All those things may happen automatically, but don't let that be your purpose. If it is, yes, you're pious. Krishna says 4 types of pious people. They do approach him. Those in search of wealth, health, what is the other two? Longevity or something? Knowledge. Curiosity. Curiosity seekers go fast. They go the quickest, you see. But those who stay are those in search of knowledge. But there's different types of knowledge also. That's another thing. So it is not good to accept Kanishta Adhikari as guru. But how you will know, what should be known as Kanishta should have enough dignity himself or herself not to accept disciples. It's not up to the people to find out, well, who's a Kanishta. It's up to you to find out if you're a Kanishta actually. And if you are, you should not take that position because you cannot actually help anybody. So the real work of Guru is done by the Madhyamadhikaris and the Paramahansas who accept the position of Madhyamadhikaris. If Paramahansa is in Paramahansa Bhav, he'll be asking for your blessing. Then what you'll do? We used to go see Srila Puri Maharaj. Sometimes enter the room, there'd be people there, first time ever in India, only been around devotees a few weeks, and he would humbly ask the blessing of everyone who came into the room. And I saw some people react rather odd to that. They thought, oh, I thought I was going to get the blessing. He's asking me for the blessing. Because he was, at that time of his life, in Paramahansa Bhav. Does not see anyone in need more than himself, the most needy. So when you see yourself the most needy, how you help anybody? So the work of the Guru is done by a Madhyam who can discriminate, who makes discrimination.